For your mobile challenge. My name is Mark Tanaz from Eurasia Mobile Challenge team. We look and very exciting to have you with us this morning. Today with us we have Mr. Adil. He's currently in Kazakhstan, and he'll be taking you through a very exciting day and morning to get you excited for your startup. One thing that we will be doing is we are going to be sharing this presentation with everyone. So whoever is going to be joining us afterwards or want this for reference, you will be getting a copy of this webinar. At the same time, please, let's leave all questions toward 9 o'clock. So within 1 hour, we will start with the questions for half an hour. You could write them in the chat box and we'll go over them with you guys and with Mr. Adia to answer all your questions on this front. So without any further delay, anyone that's joining us now, again, good morning. Mr. Adil, the floor is all yours. We'll do a test with the voice and video. So if everyone's hearing him, seeing him very well, we'll continue with the voice and video. Otherwise, we'll just stick with the audio. Mr. Adil, it's all you.
Hello, everyone. Just to make sure we're all hearing each other, please nod. Or, yeah, okay, the plus works. Thank you. So, thank you for this very interesting opportunity to talk to such a huge audience. I didn't expect that many of you, and like I can see a lot of people joining from Armenia. I saw a guy from Dushanbe and a few other people from all over the place. Let me do a quick introduction who I am and why am I here even, and then we'll follow up with a very simple, straightforward presentation that I usually do to startups. For some, it might be too easy, too straightforward. Some might, get some new information for themselves. I could share both feedback how to work globally as well as on our former Soviet Union, Eurasian territories, let's say. Echo, yeah, echo. I can hear the echo as well. I think how about now? Can you hear it? Is it better? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So let's get started. I just want to show a few faces here in myself. I represent I2BF Global. Yeah, okay. I represent I2BF Global. It's a global venture fund with the headquarters in New York. We have offices in Silicon Valley, London, Moscow, and currently in Astana, Kazakhstan. We did have an office in Dubai shortly, but then decided to close it for many different reasons. These are the partners of mine who work mainly as Ilya Golubovich is a founding partner. He's a managing partner as well. He's always in the plane somewhere, as well as everyone else. Mike helps us to structure the deals. Myself, I cover so far basically Central Asia and Asian region. We have 4 funds in management currently, and in the process of closing another one. Altogether, it's something around 400 million, and with the targets to close another fund of 100 million for IoT, we'll have something like 500 million in management. Different categories, different spheres. We started off 10 years ago from first fund that was heavily focusing on clean tech. We followed up with digital funds. We have a nanotechnology fund, which is working mainly in Kazakhstan and Russia, and the natural resources fund, and something a little over 30, 38, almost 40 portfolio companies all over the world. Mainly, I'd say 70% of our portfolio is United States, Northern America, and we have quite a few companies in Europe. We have some companies in Russia. We had 3 companies in Korea. One we sold to Samsung. The other one to some other Korean company, and we're in the process of getting the exit plan by the end of the year for the third one. That is as far as we had an exposure to Asia. The last fund is focusing on IoT. We're in the process of closing it. Hopefully, the first closing will be done by the end of the year. And I'm flying a lot now to Southeast Asia. The whole Asian region I've been to everywhere by now, last half a year, selecting and preparing the pipeline for this new fund. So that's pretty much it. I've been in investments for quite some time now. I'd say altogether maybe 15 years. Different ways, different background. I do invest myself as an angel investor on site. Did have an entrepreneurial experience. I'd say maybe something like over a dozen different kind of businesses started, and some failed, some not. Freezing, yeah. Well, sorry about the freezing. I think it's about the local connection there. Yeah. So if you can hear me, different background. I had an entrepreneurial experience. I'm currently invested as a person in 5 different startups. As an angel, I'm very active. I prefer to, if allowed by the main entrepreneur, keep my hands-on approach. Do try to help, do try to strategize, do try to help the fundraise, develop the business, and hopefully do a few nice exits. Had already a couple exits here in Kazakhstan, developed retail, pharmaceutical with heavy online content, did a few other chains, retail, biotech, you name it. So that's my background. So I've been to both sides in case if you think I'm only venture investor. That's not the case. I've done some other things as well. Anyway, so let's begin our presentation. It's actually pretty straightforward, and it comes from the notion of having an experience of dealing with Russian, Ukrainian, Kazakh startups. I don't know what's the situation in Armenia or Tajikistan. I bet it should be somewhere very close, meaning the level, meaning the thinking. We still have this strong connection in between countries and mentality. I think it should be relevant. So the first slide, I go with a very straightforward message here: the think big and act. Please, I'm comfortable speaking both languages, so if you want to ask in Russian, you can ask in Russian. Kazakh is also fine. English is not a problem, as you can hear. So here's what I'm always encountering here in Kazakhstan or in Russia or in Ukraine. Many startups think local, act local, go after the smaller market, go after the local market. It's something we don't like investors. The only way we get out of this the only way we get out and actually do the exit and earn money is by selling it to a bigger company, doing an IPO, or going after the big market. So the main message here is target $1 billion market or above. I'd say the bigger the market is, the bigger is the opportunity. It's okay to have competitors. It's okay to have the tractions. It's okay to have the difficulties. But if you don't hit the elephant, it's not worth it for us as investors. Why? I mean, it's straightforward. We spent as much time dealing with you guys as an entrepreneurs, as a startuppers, same amount of time, same amount of work, spend time for due diligence and etc. And then when we give a small ticket for a small stuff and then we never get out of there, it doesn't make sense for us. Say a startup that is raising on a local scale, small business, for instance, in a market like Ukraine, can ended up being a local copycat of some bigger theme in somewhere in the United States and can grow to 100 million, say, in revenues, but then we will never make a billion exit out of there. What we are here for is access, you know. That's why to close the deal doesn't matter how big is the size for us at the same time, same resources used, and we want to have a big stake in there to make it worthwhile, both for you and for us actually. So industry is big. Industries that you want to be targeting should be big. I gave an example several times, and I wanna bring it up again. There are many ways of doing this thing. You either discover something completely new, a new concept of using things, a new concept of providing services, a cheaper, a better way of solving a problem. But it could also be a little different approach when you go after the elephants. Now this is point 2 here. Big and sick elephants. By that I mean the industry that is having a difficulty at the moment. Usually it's big. Uh, and I like to give an example of financial industry, namely banking. All of us have been experiencing and reading a lot of articles about fintech, how much harder it become, how bigger deals we've been closing as a venture capitalist. And this particular industry was developing really fast last 5 years, many different ways in different markets. I'd say United States is leading, and Great Britain did a good job in terms of regulations, in terms of opening up the market and opportunities, but the rest of them are still slow, and the rest of them are still not doing much. So I would say take a look. Like, what do you see? You see a huge banks like Deutsche Bank is having difficulties and experiencing a very, very tough season now with the heavy regulation, with the heavy restrictions put on the industry, I mean banking industry, with higher demands for reserves, with basically unification of European Union, for instance. All this banking industry is having a lot of difficulties. Now, this industry is huge. It's an elephant. I mean, if you take an example from the animal world, the elephant is the biggest, right? Or you can say a whale. It doesn't matter. Uh, and the industry is sick. Well, it's tired, it's overregulated, it doesn't deliver value anymore. More so, people invested in these companies like Deutsche Bank or some other banks like that are losing their money. Now, what you can do, and that could be a good example, it could work a very similar way in Russia. Say in Kazakhstan is very similar way our banks are not doing well. So you target a big one and make sure you find a solution for the problem that they have, that is very deliberate, that is very niche, and do it better, faster, cheaper. Mm, you either help the elephant or you kill the elephant with that particular thing, like a virus, or you name it. It could be an attempted attack directly, which is also fine, or it could be a problem solver, which could be bought out by these particular players. Now, what you do is you take a balance sheet of any bank, for instance. I'm just giving an example to make it clear. And banks do, how do they earn? They do commission on everything, on transaction, on transferring the money, on organizing the loan, on investing into assets, etc. Everywhere, what they do is basically taking one money from one pocket and putting it to another pocket, moving it back and forward, and consolidating it, keeping it, again spending it. Each this transaction, they take a commission. Now, when you take a look at the profit and losses financial statement, you can see where they make most of the money. You can see where they start losing the money. You can see the transactions that are gone there. You can see inefficiencies in the bank that you can face yourself directly when you're sitting in the lines, when you're sitting and doing the paperwork, when you see a huge bureaucratic machine that cannot solve people's problems actually. And it's not an easy experience to get a loan, any kind of loan, personal loan, customer loan, business loan, especially in the Eurasian part of the world where we are. Banks are pretty much inefficient. Uh, so you, uh, я, мне все равно, если хотите, могу на русский перейти. Просто дайте мне знать и подтвердите, что вам легче на русском и так далее. Мне без разницы. Хорошо. Ну, я вижу, да, что все за. Хорошо, давайте на русском. Тогда давайте, ну, здесь то, что написано, вам же понятно, я так понимаю. Whatever. Ладно, хорошо, давайте на русском, не вопрос. Еще раз, мне нужно повторять, что я хочу? Окей. Банки. Всем понятно, как у нас банки работают, неэффективны и так далее. В части наших стран они немного на самом деле до сих пор совковые, до сих пор бюрократичные и так далее, и так далее. Так вот, я хочу, чтобы стартапер шел, если он не может ничего крутого придумать там на мировом уровне и реально какую-то новейшую историю, тогда идите сразу за слоном. Натали. She says English is better. You guys decide whatever you guys want to do.
Let's start. Yeah. Let's start English. Today's session is in English, and then in the Q&A, if there's anything that people wanted to be.
Yes, I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind.
Yeah, let's do in English. We will bring other sessions in Russian, but today's English in English, and then we'll switch in the Q&A.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. Whatever. I mean, whatever. I've been speaking English all this time. So, if you guys don't do a startup that is global, if you guys don't do startup that is big or industry that is billion industry, just don't do it because it's waste of time. It could be a good experience to learn, but then it's hard to attract VC or angel investment for that matter. Solve the problem, as I said, you focus on one particular problem and you solve it. Make it easy, make it simple, and etc. 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 Like this KEYS, aka customer is lazy. So KEYS stands for keep it simple, stupid. So basically what it says, you have to do on the client side, you have to do a product that will be very straightforward, easy using, user friendly. I mean, it should be very dumb in terms of user experience. It should be just one click. That's it. If you don't do that kind of stuff, it's difficult. It requires manual instruction, etc., etc. It doesn't work. If there is no if there is no open line, open data available, there should be some side data. I mean, it should be industries that are related to yours. There should be many different ways to determine, and there should be extrapolation on that. So you don't have to. Yes, thank you. You don't have to be tying directly to the industry that doesn't exist yet. But you could be tying to the industry that is bigger and that shows and indicates that thing is growing. That's the idea. Okay, I'm done with this slide, and it actually took me too long. I'm gonna keep it short now. Be prepared. I've been meeting so many different startups all over the places. Say we are seeing per month. I'm seeing 250, maybe 300 deals per year, per month. It's just flies. I don't remember stuff. Too many people I meet, too many startup ideas I'm meeting, seeing and listening all the time, and I don't like when people are not prepared. It's not me. Trust me. All of us, all of the investor community, the VC community, we just don't like it. We don't look at it. And if we don't see you guys are prepared to talk, we just don't talk to you. It means you don't respect yourself, it means you don't respect us, and you're not serious about the whole thing. So be prepared, and it's straightforward. Like, get the teaser done. Should be just a 10-slider, explains the basic things, explains who you are, what are you guys solving, what kind of market that is, what kind of traction you guys having at this moment, and if that is working, if that is ticking to us, well, we're gonna call you, or we're gonna find a way to talk to you. But then if we don't have it, we don't have it. I mean, we don't want to talk and listen to the ideas that are not even prepared to show anything. I don't mind turning the video off. I think you gotta guys fix your connection there. So have an expert. Like what I like is all about people, right? I mean, you've been hearing it all this time. People, team, and etc. I don't have to explain that part, but I want to have an expert. I want to have an expert in the team, either involved directly as a chief technical officer or that kind of role, or by any means create an advisory board, attract all the experts, promise them a consultancy fee, or have them mentoring you if you don't have an idea what are you guys doing. I want an expert that has 20 years experience in the industry, and I want that expert to trust your choice. I want that expert to believe that this solution can be solving actually the problem. There are many ways doing it, but what I usually offer to do is having an expert ad hoc consultation once in a while, create an advisory board. So you guys have a team, you can have a at the time when it will be needed as soon as you raise the funds, but do create an advisory board and attract experts. Make sure you can give their telephone numbers to us. We could talk to them if needed. We like that. I don't know what you're gonna do. You're gonna buy, give shares, bribe them, attract them, seduce them, do something. We need them. It gives the right impression. I like that. Investors like it. So get an expert. Investor deck is an extended thing of the teaser. Usually startups have some kind of IP, some kind of code, some kind of architecture behind the product. I want to see that part as well. Yes. Yes, promise them some big stuff. So I want to have a follow-up deck ready, available at Google Drive or something, Dropbox. Make sure it's there. If teaser catches my attention or my colleague's attention, I'm gonna follow up with questions. I'm gonna do the conference call, and I need it. So I will see that you are ready to talk to next level. You're ready to go through due diligence process, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna be calling all the people, relevant people. We will be digging whatever you've drawn there, your financial model, your IP, your patents, your architecture, everything. So make sure it's there now. Okay, designated person. Now, when we come to a fundraising, here's what's happening. I'm talking sometimes, and I don't like it. I'm talking to sometimes CFOs, sometimes CEOs, sometimes to some other guy that doesn't have any idea what's going on with the company, etc. I will suggest you to have a designated person that does the job all the time. Now, when I was a startup and I was raising funds to my startup, we did a social network for entrepreneurs and stuff. It took me 300 no's before I got anything done, and it's not good. It's not pleasant experience to hear that your idea is wrong, your team sucks, I'm not gonna give you a penny, I don't trust you, and etc. etc. Every meeting is just not pleasant to hear that you're doing something wrong. Now, when you are a person that is doing a product development, or you are a person responsible for business development or marketing, or preoccupied with some other functionality that is crucial to your business, that will show the traction, that will show the milestones are done, you don't want to be fundraising at the same time. It's not necessarily good because it affects the productivity, affects everything afterwards. If you're gonna, I mean, you had 2 meetings, you had a lot of hopes, you're completely disappointed, you have to go back and still believe in your product and still do something. Trust me, it's very annoying, very disappointing, not a good experience. So among yourself, among the team, usually it's a CEO or CFO, choose someone. Designate the person that does that full time, pretty much all the time. Towards maybe CFO is even better because he can do the modeling and financial modeling and maybe valuation up to the point. Have that person in place, designate the person, make sure he's visible and he's everywhere talking to investors, etc., etc. That way you will fundraise faster, trust me. Homework I told you about, and it's pretty much be ready. Pretty much by homework I also mean do some intelligence, do some search. Who you talking to at this particular moment? Who's this guy? Who's this investor? What kind of group you talking? What kind of deals they've made? What they like? Personal habits, etc., etc. That will help to establish the links. That will help to sell yourself. That will help to break the ice at the right moment, and develop a habit to sell. Now, all of you should do that exercise. All of you. It doesn't matter whether you're a technical team part or you are a financial background or you all, the whole team should be able to sell. Sell yourself, sell your team, sell your product. And it should become a habit. That's it. It's just not discussed. If you want to fundraise, and you will be fundraising, you have to be fundraising from the very beginning. It doesn't matter which part of your business you're doing. You have to be able to selling your product and your team and the idea. All of you. Train, do the public speaking, take turns, whatever. You have to have one teaser that everyone able to sell. Okay, so I'm coming there. Do participate and do apply. Here we're coming to this point. We like when the startups are visible. Sometimes we ended up investing into a startup that we start talking a year and a half ago, for instance, and we like to see them at the social networks. We like to see them in all the relevant circles, incubators, etc. We like to see startup is alive, startup is working, the team is working, team has not give up, it's still there, it's still pursuing its goals. More so, we like to see the startup is visible and actually achieving the milestones they claim to. So if you want, you gotta be visible. You gotta be like a bright spot somewhere. As I explained, thousands, like hundreds startups we see every day, decks, like a lot of people like going sometimes 12 meetings per year. I don't mean anywhere. I meant okay. I meant all the relevant groups, like startups groups, like incubators, hackathons, whatever, accelerators, etc. Like you do now. I like it. It's good. What I offer as well to do one local one to see what's going on. To do one, for instance, for us, all of us, it could be the easiest way to do it. In Moscow, participate some. There are plenty of those hackathons and accelerators, etc. Try to get in. Try to apply. Try to participate. Each of that kind of experience kind of polishes you up. As a team. It's actually a challenging experience. It will help you also. It will help you also to meet additional investors. It will help you to enlarge your circle. It will help you to make sure you are heard, etc. Now, I like. Someone was asking about the crowdfunding. I love crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is good. We invest in these kind of companies. It solves many different issues, but crowdfunding, keep that in mind, is better for gadgets. It's better for IoT. It's better for something that you can actually hand on, touch it and feel it and whatever, admire it and buy it and taste it and etc. It should be hardware related. It should be something to touch. It should be either it could be a sensor, or it could be a tracker, it could be something like that. It could be actually, it could be wearable, etc., etc. And we like, not only us investors like it. it solves many issues and it addresses many questions that we will be asking you otherwise. So the market traction, the feedback from the customers, the ability of the team to raise the fund, use the funds, I mean finances, the cash that they have properly, use the resources that they have nicely and smoothly, uh, gives an idea that you guys can bootstrap, meaning you don't burn cash, you are smarter than that. Um, uh, and if the Kickstarter or Indiegogo, I just gave them examples, uh, that stuff is a global platform. I mean, you must have some kind of analog locally, but we would prefer you go global immediately. We would prefer you speak English immediately. We would prefer you practice it, your presentation, your video on there. And we would prefer that you will be doing it globally immediately. I would prefer have a bigger client base, geographically diverse. We would prefer to see that you can serve your clients regardless of the destination, and that could be done through a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So we like it. Use them. It's good. Investors forums, Profi Network has an events. I've mentioned that before. You just have to be visible. That's the main message. Not only visible, but also communicating your progress all the time. So if I don't invest, if I don't get excited about you now, but say if I see you like in half a year with some progress and etc., some kind of traction, etc., like in 6 months after now, I might get excited about you. You never know. Trends are changing, markets are changing. Uh, we are raising new funds with different investment mandates, or we were looking at a very similar startup and didn't invest into for some reasons, many different reasons. So make sure you're visible. Look for the right investor and choose one. It's kind of hard to say that kind of stuff, to be honest. Being an entrepreneur and being in fundraising process before, I understand that in our reality, when you're working in former Soviet Union, it's not easy to raise money. It's not easy to deal with so-called investors that are either former former governmental or governmental guy or former mayor or whatever, and you don't know the sources of the money that he has, and etc. etc. That's one thing. Um, the other thing is he has no idea about business. And in many countries like ours, the situation is always the same. Pretty much the money, big money comes from different kind of sources, not necessarily legal, not necessarily clean, and etc. Well, that tells you what? It tells you the story that the money needs to be smart, and then you need to have the right investor in place. And if you have a choice of taking money from a former, say, mayor of some place that basically got all this money from different kind of corruption schemes and etc., you want to avoid it. Not for people say money doesn't smell. Yes, it does actually. Well, it brings a whole bunch of problems afterwards, because when you enter into these relations with an investor, you actually get to marry the guy. It's pretty much a marriage. It doesn't matter how long it will be, 3 years or whatever, maybe half an hour. You basically marrying the guy with all the habits, with all the knowledge, with all the expertises, with all the characters, etc., with all the bugs in his head. And you want to get the guy who can work, who can actually develop business, who has the background, who will understand the hell you guys trying to do. When a person was doing something else for 20 years, well, guess what? He doesn't give a damn. He will think in terms of 1 year return. He will think in terms of very low risk tolerance, very low help from his side, in terms of mentoring, in terms of opening the networks, in terms of actually giving something back. So avoid that kind of people altogether. Here in Kazakhstan, they have this slang called agashka, which means like older guy who who got some money from different sources, as I said, from corrupted sources or whatever, bribes. Now you want to avoid that guy altogether because he will create more problems than any value he will bring. So the money that he will give, then he's going to suck you up. Just keep away from that. Instead, if you have a choice and if you can approach, do approach entrepreneurs that turned into an investors afterwards. Now, those guys are tougher. Those guys know reality. Those guys are down to earth, and they have 20 or whatever, 30 years of experience of doing business in former Soviet Union in a very difficult time. Usually, very hard to get money from them. But that's that kind of people you need. Those people who worked in the market, who survived all the difficulties already, and they become successful. Now, when these kind of people give you money, it's a very good signal, because with all the skepticism, with all the pragmatism, with all the bad and tough experience that they have while surviving in our reality doing business, they still believe in you, they still give you money. Trust me, that's a very best signal that we can get as an investor. We then understand that this guy will help you many different ways, sharing his experience, making sure your operations are right, your financials are run well, you are intact, and make sure they will be on your tail. They will make sure you will be working your ass off the same way he did 20 years ago, 80 hours per weekend, etc., etc. We will be very comfortable having that kind of person, depending, of course, on the character, etc. But overall, that's a better signal than having someone else putting in money that doesn't have any idea. Facilitators and governmental structures. Now I'm talking about something like Skolkovo, something like Free in Russia, or in Kazakhstan they have some other structures. It might be also relevant to a few other countries, like they must have something very similar in Azerbaijan. I don't know about Armenia and stuff, but basically it's a quasi-governmental structure or governmental structure that distributes grants, etc. We don't mind grants. We think all the grants are helpful, especially if you are in a hardware business. Now, for instance, if you're doing say a new model of 3D printer, and it requires you to have a laboratory, it requires you actually do the welding, do the hands work, do a lot of mechanicals and stuff. You want to have a grant because this thing is heavy. It just takes a lot of work, both in terms of it takes an infrastructure as well. It takes an engineer and a mechanical engineer. More so, you need to have a person who can actually do something with his hands. That is a very similar situation with IoT as well, because usually it's about sensors. It's about sensors talking to each other. It's about data to collect it, etc. It's a lot more complicated. So grants are not bad. Grants are okay to use. So if you can have those, please do. But we don't like the companies that constantly apply for grants without getting any money from an investor. We think it's a red flag. We think that distributing grants is one thing, and when you have a real investor in place demanding stuff from you is another thing. So grants are okay, especially for hardware-related startups, IoT startups, biotech maybe startups, pharmaceutical startups, not digital, I mean not internet and not mobile apps. Those are just fine. Banks. I don't like banks, to be honest. I don't like banks dealing with startups. Usually, I think it's all over the places, but especially in former Soviet Union, banks are not friendly to startups. Sometimes bank specifically develops a product to help startup. It could be lower rates, it could be flexible schedules, it could be a long probation rate, whatever. There could be a lot of other benefits related to that, or it could be a bank that is doing say a fintech lab locally and gives you the infrastructure to experiment on it, or give the domain, whatever. That gives for instance one branch to experiment on it. Yes, do cooperate with banks in that case. but otherwise keep from that money away. Banks require collateral. They want to collateralize everything, including like your house, your mom and dad's flat and apartment, and maybe your kids and wife, whatever. So keep away from banks if you can. And they don't give actually money anyway for startups. So here, okay, we're actually moving pretty fast here. We're gonna have a longer Q&A session then. Don'ts, okay. Yeah, well, actually it's all straightforward here. Don't give up trying. That's a very straightforward kind of advice, but I'd say it was a difficult experience, especially when you have a, like a success story behind you. You have this huge ego behind you when you've done something really cool before, and turns out it was a fast win and victory, and you got some money out of it or whatever. It's very hard to realize that you're doing something wrong. It's very hard to hear it. Sometimes investors are not polite. Sometimes investors are very straightforward, and if you're doing a dumb thing, they say you are dumb, and it's not a pleasant thing to do. So you should just continue, keep trying. Every single presentation you make to an investor is something to learn from. And if you're able to tolerate first 5 to 10 minutes and grab the investor's attention, be patient and wait, because even when an investor is not ready to invest, he can give you some hints. He can give you some other context. He can give you an advice that will be valuable, except for saying something like quit the whole thing. But you just have to survive the first 5 to 10 minutes and get to the point when he starts talking. That helped me a lot. My presentation, my teaser changed from my first meeting to my 10th meeting substantially. It became a lot better. It became more polished, and etc. etc. In fact, I got the money from investor number 100 and whatever 80 at the end of the day. I mean, I'm not talking about friends, families, a fool who gave me money immediately on trust base, but for a professional investor, it took me a while to actually get to the point when it was polished, clean, and nice. Stop listening, stop learning, never stop, it means, right? Okay, don't stop listening, don't stop learning, don't stop changing. That's exactly what I was saying. Make sure you're listening, and then you will be changing and learning. So long as you have this process in place and you continue trying, it should be a win. Because marathon is something we're in. That is our game. Startup game. Now I'm pretty much done with the presenting part. I think I'm ready for Q&A session. If you have anything to say, please.
Okay, great, Mr. Adil. Thank you for an amazing insight on really how to approach. And let's keep it audio so the participants can now ask guys question. We have about 40 minutes for Q&A. So start asking questions. You could ask them in Russian and you could ask them in English. So we have KS. What do you think about copying of a startup which has been successful in the US, for instance, and develop it in the
I lost the sound here.
No, we hear you. If you want to turn off your video.
You guys hear me, right? Because I lost the sound.
Can you hear us?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. The whole thing is start moving here, and the chat is crazy. Why don't you guys start one by one?
Okay. All right, one by one. So Adil, do you want to turn off your video? Do you want to turn off your video?
Okay. Yeah, I'm turning off.
So, all right. Okay, great.
Mhm.
So the floor first question was by LKS. What do you think
Mhm.
about copying of a startup which has been successful in the US, for instance, and trying to develop it in your country?
Yes, if you guys hear me, I don't mind
Adil, we lost your voice. I think, okay, I think Adil, we'll just wait for him to join us for a few seconds. So please hold writing your questions until he joins us again. Yes, Mr. Adil will be joining us again soon. So 1 second. Okay, Adil, can you hear us? If you can turn on your audio.
hello.
Yes, we can hear you now,
I
Adil.
was
Welcome
lost
back.
shortly. This thing, yeah, I lost my internet here. Can anyone hear me now? I'm back.
Yes, okay, we hear you now. Okay, all right,
Okay, sorry
guys.
about that.
All
So the
right,
question
great.
was about,
No worries.
yeah, it was from
Yeah, so
LKS.
exactly.
Yeah, so the question was
What do you
whether
think?
to do or not the copycat. Yes. Uh, so I do think copycats are just fine. But please mind few things in your head whenever you start doing it. Size of the market, because it matters. Whether or not there were exits before with copycats. So if you're, for instance, in Azerbaijan or in Kazakhstan or in Armenia for that matter, or Georgia, those markets are too small to do any kind of copycats. It doesn't make sense. So do a copycat if you're in a bigger market because it makes sense. Then it could it could become a really nice big size business at the end of the day, and it works perfectly. But you have to also keep in mind that every market is specific and needs to be probably minor adjustments and etc etc etc. So I don't mind copycats. Make sure the business is big. Make sure the demand and timing and etc. Don't waste your time doing it in small markets.
Okay, great. Next question. How do investors treat idea stage and beta stage projects? What do investors expect to hear about marketing strategy? Do you have any special advice for educational startups?
Educational startup. I actually like edtech overall. I think it's a huge, constant demand market, especially in former Soviet Union. I think all our universities are far behind from those that are working there in the United States or Europe and etc. So there's a room for development, 100%. Now you have to dig what kind of niche you will be offering and what kind of solution you'll be offering. And I think you should be digging. That's a good market. It's constant. There's a demand. People will be paying money. Higher education is still there. It's just the stuff that you do. It needs to be hitting the right target. That's it. Overall education is good. What kind of advice? for a better stage startup, well, there is no point in talking to the guys who doesn't have a seed or pre-seed fund. There is no point in talking to the guys who are investing on a later stage. So just don't waste time there. Go to the incubators and accelerators and etc. Try to develop the traction there and concept there. Again, once again, always same. They do mind the market. If there is no data available, there was a question before, there is no data, open data, source data available on the particular markets. Look at the coinciding markets, look at the markets behind it, or look at the bigger scheme of the market. Say if you are in alternative energy storage, for instance, basically a solution that an alternative energy helps to solve several issues. So look at the solar market, bigger markets that there are plenty of data available, or look at the wind power market and etc. So get the not a direct but then indirect data that is there available, and do the extrapolation. If there is a logic behind it, if we see that it's somewhat reasonable, that should be enough for us to start digging ourselves. Okay.
One more question. Can you tell about your last 3 deals by your fund? This is a personal questions for you. Adil, did you hear me? Hello?
What it helps to do is to help give an insurance to people that is uninsured and untapped. So basically, people, for instance, who have higher limits in insurance for diabetes, for instance, still have a lot of money, and they can share this money with someone for a small fee or whatever fee they agree with someone who doesn't have that coverage or has a smaller coverage. It's a big market. Insurance market is overall big, and fintech is something that we are. We did a deal in robotics, for instance, that I was directly involved with. A company named RoboSUV. They do robotization of the warehouse equipment. So basically, all this equipment that is driving, riding, carrying, and transporting could be robotized, and it could basically deliver goods by itself. It could charge itself, and etc., etc. There will be no human. Someone was telling me about. Well, basically, the robot itself is replacing human being and the operator that should be operating the equipment. And the market is huge because big players are Toyota, Hitachi, the German steel, and etc. So the company was pretty early stage, but we like the company. We co-invested with few other funds. Now the company is doing really well, and they proved that the concept is real. They proved that the IP could be protected. Now they have the traction, and they didn't have any product at the time. It was a concept base, but now they have 3 products, and they start selling. So we like that. Well, the third deal is the biotech company, Selecta Bioscience, for instance. It's a long story, but we've also invested. It did an IPO just fine 1 year ago. Very nice. Few other deals now going. We'll be closing them pretty soon, hopefully. Then I'll let you know.
All right, great. We got a question from Susanna Adil. How to start cooperation with an established company? How to make a contact with them?
Usually, what you do is you find an interested person, aka it should be probably an IT department, or if you're hitting that way, or an R&D department. They are more receptive usually to a technology. They don't have an idea for new products and new solutions. And if basically if your product fits their need and solves their problem, that could be a good point to talk. Usually, those kind of people, they have a very active position. They usually participate in all kind of different conferences like IT solutions for that, and here, and industrial applications, etc., etc., etc. So you go directly to that kind of event and network. Usually, you could find someone there. That helped me several times. Ideally, there could be another insider, but that needs to, that needs to be worked on.
We have a question from Muhammad
Yes.
Yusuf. How do present social media networks projects to investors? It's just we don't know how do social network gain money and how we gonna make money
What is
on
it?
them. How do present social networks projects
Oh, okay.
to investors? So how are they
If I
approaching
understood it correctly, how your
investors?
presence in social media helps, right? Helps to present the
Right,
okay.
and also they're asking, like, let's say, how do social networks gain
Uh,
money? So concepts that are
Listen,
already
a lot of stuff is
identified.
done through social media. I'm actually approaching a lot of startups from there, and I'm getting a lot of projects and a lot of offers and suggestions, and the startups approaching me through social networks a lot better and faster than anything else because I spend time there. And LinkedIn and Facebook is actually, I'd say, become a source of whole kind of different kind of deals now for myself. You have these 5,000 people there, and if you're sitting in the right groups for startups in the communities in the right places and all the events, etc., that it kind of naturally drives that way. Uh, and promoting, if you're talking about promotion, I mean, I don't have to explain you what search engine optimization and SMM techniques are. I think you should just dig that part, and you will understand that it will help you to promote any kind of product or service you have for free, actually.
Next question we have from Elias. When we talk to investors, we are selling product, problem, or team. What is primary for investors?
Team is always a primary thing for investors. Product might be wrong, timing might be wrong, the product needs to be adjusted, for instance, or you're going after a different niche. We need a strong, resilient, technically savvy team that will not give up, that will rework the product, reconsider the concept, and work again and try again and continue trying. I mean, intelligently trying, not if you don't have an expert in the team or a strong technical team, I think you're doomed to fail anyway. So team is more important than anything else.
Okay, great. We got a question from Sargis. What is the industry you are interested in as an angel? Are you interested in wearables?
I like fintech. Wearables. Well, I do have a startup that I'm supporting is a micro brand collection of watches, and they do some technical straps as well. It could be something to do. It depends. It depends. It depends on many things, like whether there's a chemistry with the team and etc. etc. as well. But I like something that is wearable in that sense. I mean, I have a startup there. Yeah.
Okay, great. There's a question in Russian from
I lost the sound.
All right, no worries. We'll come back to that question. My colleague will join short. We'll hop on to Yulan. Is there any specifics in telecom markets?
Telecom market. Like if you're talking hardware, anything that is related to big data is good. It actually requires a lot of investments in terms of the storages, in terms of the data centers, the bases. But if you talk about that way, working with data, algorithms in working with data, that is very interesting. That is something to look at. All kind of sensors in telecom that will help you to diagnose the problem, to transfer the data from one place to another, to make it cheaper, better, faster is good. Telecommunication, many aspects could be also the B2C type of solutions, and in terms of new services that could be offered for streaming, new services that could be offered for online streaming and etc. So a whole bunch of stuff you could be doing. I mean, telecom is huge. I mean, it depends what you want. But those are three, like data I like that. Whatever is related to big data is kind of hot. Okay.
That was the Russian question, if you can see that.
Если кому пока не стоит, есть такое дело. Агерим, я думаю, вам лучше все-таки найти кого-то в команду, и лучше, чтобы или научитесь программировать сами хотя бы на basic каком-то уровне. Языки программирования, они понятные, их можно там от 3 до 6 месяцев курсы пройти и выучить. Это не сложные вещи, это не инжиниринг, то есть бэкграунд для этого не нужен технический. Если нету специалистов в команде, научитесь сами делать это. Это несложно, там 1-2 языка, обычно Python, там еще что-то для мобильных приложений, или там Java и PHP для веб-разработок. Это несложно, это 3-6 месяцев, чтобы, по крайней мере, понимать, что вы делаете и так далее. Научиться basic stuff делать. Да-да, следующий.
We got a question from Suhaib.
Please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Facebook and LinkedIn.
Go ahead. What's the best way to reach? Okay, we'll add your contacts at the end of the chat, or if you want to type it in right now and have to them. We got a question from Suhaib. If you are an angel investor, can we talk to you or present our product?
Yes, you could. I mean, just approach me here. I mean, straight from there.
All right. So they can reach to you in via the contact details that you are provided. So we have another question by Yulan. It's in Russian. I'm going to paste it at the bottom.
Улан, если сделать это быстро и сделать это дешево, сердито, в идеале лучше это делать на каком-то деле. То есть, если этот сервис какой-то существует, и это какие-то incremental changes, то есть, если это какие-то вещи, которые могут сделать быстро и без больших изменений, тогда это и так делается без вас. Тогда лучше сразу в кооперации сделать с клиентом потенциальным. И там, тогда у вас, по крайней мере, схема по acquire, то есть купить и взять вас в команду существует. Если это не крутые изменения и так далее, то зачем ими заниматься? То есть смысл какого? It's very important to have a team, Jandilia. It's crucial to have a team. No one person doesn't do anything at all. Я не верю в одного человека, я не верю в одного супергероя и так далее. Это не получается. Должна быть команда. Сильная команда, разносторонняя, закрывающая разные вещи. I read that part, the last one.
Question from Eldar. Say we're targeting the global market and we have a ready product. What is the first step each globally without spending too much money?
Go in, apply to Y Combinator, 500 startups, and etc. Go there, or at least go to Moscow и так далее. На большие рынки идите, на большие тусовки. В Азии эшелон Азия есть, Tech in Asia есть там и так далее. Пробуйте туда попасть, делайте application одновременно со всех сторон. Но если это действительно глобальный продукт, то вас увидят, заценят, и вы приедете и будете там выступать. И это намного легче сделать оттуда, чем находясь в Казахстане, в Армении, в Азербайджане, я не знаю, или в России где-то.
One more question. What's the perception of investors when they are when there's a presentation from a startup which already have seed investment? So they're going for another round.
We like that. I mean, it's good. But with seed investment comes milestones And if you use the money for only, say, product development, and if you didn't, for instance, do the traction, or at least didn't get any feedback, or didn't try to sell it and get some feedback, we don't like it. I mean, seed investment comes with a milestone. Usually, any kind of investment comes with a milestone and KPIs that you need to reach. That money is for something, right? It's not about you getting the salary and the team working full time just to get the product, but it's about taking the money, do the product, put it on the market, get the feedback, change the product, do the traction. If you solve all this, then yeah, we like it.
Okay, we got a question from Eldar. It's in Russian. It's before the last text message.
What do you mean, какие основные мероприятия? Я же уже сказал, вы подаете на акселераторы, все, которые... Если не можете попасть на российские площадки, их много там, заресерчите, много акселераторов и всяких инкубаторов, в которые можно попасть. У них есть там крючки всякие, вас хотят там заставить там российскую ложку сделать, еще что-то. Ну и что делайте, идите туда, там, по крайней мере, заапгрейдитесь, сразу попадете в тусовку правильно, могут заметить вас. Если на английском не говорите, если говорите на английском, смотрите все глобальные площадки.
Okay, our next question by Sergey is how to get traction in case if you need to raise money to build a prototype.
How to make traction to build a prototype? You won't do any traction if you don't have a prototype. You need a prototype. To get a prototype, and if it's a hardware stuff and etc., usually they do it for free. It's like your hours, work hours put in, your team's hours put in, and do some kind of prototype. If it's a hardware, try to get a grant and do it in some kind of laboratory, some kind of technical environment. There is no other way to get the traction done without a prototype, at least in your hands, or at least a design of that thing. Maybe sometimes a Kickstarter campaign might help, but then you have to be very, very persuasive in that sense, and maybe lower your targets. Say just enough to get the prototype done, and then communication needs to be very clear. Like your team is able to develop. Here is our team, and it's really cool, but we don't have a little bit of money, say $25,000 to $30,000. Can you guys please chip in, and etc., so that we could get the prototype? Maybe it will work. Indiegogo, sometimes it happened. Kickstarter did happen once in a while.
Example of crowdsourcing and campaigns was Oculus that got bought up by Facebook. Yes, so another question. Another question we have by Olga, but it's in Russian. Adil.
Seem like what is? Каким образом, Ольга, в сфере услуг, каковы шансы вы участвуете в банках, учреждениях и так далее? Мне нравится сфера услуг. Мне нравится все, что работает B2C, то есть на клиента конечного. Если вы можете это оптимизировать, убрать человека с процесса, убрать ошибки, убрать бюрократию и так далее, делайте это. Это хорошая вещь. Если не сможете, тогда лучше не соваться сюда. Ну там есть такая штука еще, есть экспертиза. Вы должны понимать, куда вы лезете и что вы там делаете. То есть, если вы в этой сфере эксперты, вы там поработали, вы понимаете, какие там проблемы существуют, и именно их адресуете, это намного легче делать, и шансы того, что вы там преуспеете, увеличиваются. Soviet investors are scared of blue ocean market. They're not scared of blue ocean market. They just don't understand it. They don't understand what the hell is blue ocean market, and etc. It's too far from them. Too far. That's why you need a VC. I mean, that's why you need a venture capitalist who is not scared, who is exactly for this stuff. As I said, the bigger the opportunity is, the better for us, and that's why we specialize in. The traditional investor will not give you the money. Yes. Uh,
The question by
yes.
Alexander. It was after Olga. It's after Olga. Alexander is also in Russian.
Сейчас организация мероприятий для презентации продуктов, как правило, проходит в других городах. Александр, ну, на ваш вопрос очень простой ответ. Пока не спишитесь, пока не попробуйте переговорить, можно сделать таким образом. Вначале получить, грубо говоря, подтверждение того, что вы интересны. Ну, например, если вы попадете в Сколково отбор, да, и они захотят вас видеть, и у вас соответствующее письмо на руках будет, с этим письмом можно уже идти к инвестору и говорить, что вот нас отобрали, и нам не хватает долларов, чтобы туда поехать, там, прожить 2 месяца там, и сделать продукт и так далее. Вот на этом уже этапе можно идти к сид-инвестору, пассивному инвестору, какому-нибудь ангелу и так далее, и просить за долю компании там что-то делать. Ну или в долг брать. По-другому никак. Обычно это все-таки родители, друзья там, и так далее, которые все это делают, деньги дают на это. Ну или заработать надо накопить, по-другому, как вы хотите. Да, я слушаю.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Now is your chance to ask. Mr. Adil shared earlier his contact. You can reach him via Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as, you know, we'll be sharing this contact presentation with you guys afterwards. So if you have any further question, feel free to ask now. Any question regarding the competition, please don't ask Mr. Adil. You could direct it to our email, info@Eurasia Mobile Challenge. We just want questions regarding to help you, how you can benefit from this talk, and how to find the phone. LKS, had a problem with his question. I think LKS was the first question that he asked us. LKS, can you write your question again? Okay.
I forgot about
or reminds, yes.
I replied it already.
Okay, I'll try to find LKS's first question. Oh, about copying a startup. But before we go about copying a startup, can we
answer what?
And then we'll go answer about LKS.
Yes, we missed so far. We missed Lyft. That's a competitor of Uber. We missed a lot. Actually, we missed a lot of startups. I mean that we didn't invest in. There's a company called Action that does the energy storage solution. We invested in another startup that does the same, but they're doing a little bit better than us, etc. It always is the choice, and always you go with it, and then you deal with whatever you have. We do write-offs as well. This year we passed that one, Lyft. This is the game. This is what we do. We choose, and then we stick with that, and we try to help to develop. You cannot cover everything, right? LKS, your question was whether to do the copycat. Yes, please do the copycat, but be on the right market at the right timing. Don't do it if you're on the small market, and the developed market, and the weak market. That's it. If you do it like in India, Indonesia, Russia at least, or something like sizable market, big enough to spend time on this. Hope you heard it this time. Okay,
we got Eldar. From our point of view, the idea sounds great. We talked to our friends. They also like the idea. But what are the questions we should ask ourselves to know for sure that the services we will provide will be needed by our customers?
Get into that service and see. I mean, get into the environment and see. Try it yourself. There is no other way. Hands-on approach. Talk directly to the customer. Yes. Thank you.
Question about would you advise to make business with Rahat Turlikhanov?
I know Rahat personally. I don't know. It's up to it's an interesting question. Did he offer you something? If he did, think about it. He's all right. I mean, he's into the business already. He's investing, as I understand. He knows a little bit something about startups. So why not check it? I mean, I don't see any problem. I mean, I don't have anything to tell bad about Rahat. I don't know him that close.
Well, it's like what you mentioned in your presentation today, Adil. It's like knock on many doors, don't stop. Keep approaching, keep reaching out, because you never know what door might open after your first talk. I mean, you gave an example of your personal experience where you had to, update your presentation, your pitch, many times until you found your ideal investors. So reaching out to as many people, I think, would not hurt. But the one, like you mentioned earlier, is that what is the most ideal to the company and that will fit well with the team as an investor.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. That's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, being on an investor side is always, exciting as much as it is exciting on the participant and startup side, because at the end it's a synergy. So we got Care. He said for Eldar, check out. So Eldar, you have one of your colleagues here who have mentioned to check out a website, take a look. Jafar, Adil, what do you expect from a startup in return if you decide to invest? Return on investment, percent of share.
Started in return, if you decide to invest, it depends on startup, case by case. If I'm an angel investor going early stage, I'm not greedy. I go anywhere from 5 to 10%, and then we work together. As a person, as an angel investor, as a fund, we usually try to take a bigger share, and we don't seek for control. We don't like it. We like Jafar, that you're gonna be working yourself and you won't lose the motivation. And all the investors are somewhat same. I mean, professional investors, not someone who does it different way, like many elder generation entrepreneurs and so-called investors do. We like to keep you involved as much as you want, as much as your stake will matter for you. So you have to be actually working more than us, more than anyone. You have to be working 80 hours per week, and you have to have the ownership in the project. Otherwise, I mean, why to do it? I don't have any
Okay.
geographic limitations.
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to ask you that question. Go ahead.
No, I don't have any geographical preferences or geographical limitations. But as I said, I like bigger markets. Everyone likes bigger markets. At least there's a chance that you can hit on some kind of target. And it will require bigger money, bigger expertise, better expertise, and etc. But it's worth trying at least your time.
Okay, next question. How to motivate teammates at the early stage? They are not that type of people who can deal with pressure.
Get rid of those kind of people. You don't need that kind of people around you. You need people who can be supportive, strong, and resilient the same way as you are, because you're getting into a very tough ride. There is no such thing as fast results and fast cash. There is no such thing. Just don't expect it. There will be no cash and no results fast. This is a very long-term deal, and it's a lot of work. It's a marathon. You will be tired. You will be exhausted. You will be fighting. You will be scrambling. It's a 5 to 7 year, sometimes 10-year commitment. There is no other way. Don't do it otherwise. Go get a job. Get an older person. Don't do youngsters.
It's always team, team, team. So you have to find the right team to help you build a startup. We got a question. Basic strategies if your startup can be easily copied by giants like Google or Facebook. For instance, Meerkat.
Uh, I missed. Okay, where basic startup can be copied by giants like Google. Yes, Jandila, that's right. That's why copycat is not my first choice. Uh, there are some specific things like you can do. For instance, market can be as specific as Chinese, or for instance, Yandex didn't die and actually fighting the Google still. Better yet, it's alive, it's making money, and etc. So it depends on the market, on the conditions, on the regulations, on the many, many, many other things. On the language as well, the Chinese language itself could be a very strong obstacle to getting. So go from there. Arkady Morenes. Okay, I don't know who's Arkady Morenes, but
We got a question from Igor. Okay, go ahead. Answer that question, and then we have one from Ikram above. But go ahead, answer that question, and then we'll go up to Ikram's question.
Okay. Yeah, Arkady, Arkady, I don't know who's Arkady Marina, so, but we lose money. We learn from that. That is the business we're in. That is normal. So it's okay to have write-offs. It's okay to lose money so long as you compensate it some other ways. Maybe to a certain extent, I agree with the guy. Ikrom, average size of investment vary from place to place, and we have different funds for different purposes. For instance, we have an IoT fund that is going very early stage from $200,000 and above, and then we have funds that are very late stage that can go up to $10 million in the round. So it depends. The monetization of Prisma and Masquerade. Okay. During the life of a startup, the monetization could be changed many different times, and you could be approaching one way, another, and etc. etc. At this particular cases that you're mentioning, the traction was more important, and usually for things like social network or social network related solutions or mobile app solutions, the monetization goes the last. Most important goes the team, then goes the traction. At this particular case is how many downloads people had and how often they use the app. And if there is such thing, and if people stay long with your app and they don't close it and they don't beat it, then you will think about monetizations the way you want. Similar way WhatsApp, similar way of many other big giant startups that has found their way into the people's smartphones. That's more important, priority-wise.
Question from Ikram. What financial information at early stage do you expect potential team?
We don't expect a lot of we don't expect a financial modeling here because it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. What we expect is the budget. We expect the approximate kind of valuation. What are you expecting from yourself on your side? It's a very early stage. the budget matters more than anything else. We will do the evaluation part ourselves if we believe that this is a good idea to do it and you have the capacity to deliver.
Okay, if we don't have any other question, one more. How can you make a proposal to Uber? How I can make a proposal to Uber?
You don't make a proposal to Uber.
Do you mean you want?
First you do a product and do a startup, raise money. Uber will come when you are successful. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Yes, at Chrome, of course, we bring value. We bring the network, we bring the expertise. We want you to leave until next round and the rounds before after that, and hopefully get to the exit. That's why you look for investor. It's not about money only. You can take money many different sources.
Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. If we don't have any other question, thank you again. It's been a pleasure having you all here. Thank you again, Adil, for a very incisive and important, insight on the investor side. And I hope the participants and the startups found it very useful. We look forward to touching base again with you, as well as if you want to reach out to Adil, you can reach him on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.